Hey everyone, how you doing today? It's me, David, coming to you from the Beatles Corner. We are collecting the Beatles 101. Today, I want to talk about an album that is near and dear to my heart. It is, I think it might be the first Beatles album I ever bought with well, maybe brand new with my own money. Back in 1977. The Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. This album, the first live album by the Beatles. I think, except for the Star Club, I think it was really the only live album released by the Beatles. Well, this was reissued in 2016, which I do not have a copy of that. It was a tie-in with the Ron Howard directed 8 Days a Week documentary on the touring years of the Beatles. Anyway, before I get much more into this, let's take a close-up look at this album. So we're going to shoot on over and take that close-up look. Okay, so here is the front cover, the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl, 1977. Now, my copy I have is a first pressing. I'm not sure if later pressings omitted this, but these facsimile tickets are actually embossed on the cover. A nice picture, photo of the band at the Hollywood Bowl. Just a kind of bare bones looking cover. Need you say more? Let's turn inside the gatefold cover for a look. There we go. So as a young Beatlemaniac back in 1977, this was just pretty cool to look at. A lot of the just American paraphernalia, souvenirs. The one that is very out of place is this 8-track, or I think it's an 8-track, or is it a 4-track, of Beatles 6 with a Sgt. Pepper era, Strawberry Fields Forever era 1967 picture on the tape. Other than that, everything's pure 1964, 1965. So, and just adorning this picture of the band again at the Hollywood Bowl. So let's look at the back cover now. All right, back cover, nice, really nice liner notes, song listings, and tells you which performance they were recorded from. So we have Twist and Shout, She's a Woman, Dizzy Miss Lizzie, Ticket to Ride, and Can't Buy Me Love, all from August 30th, 1965. Things We Said Today, Roll Over Beethoven, Boys, from August 23rd, 1964. A Hard Day's Night and Help, from August of 65. And then the final three, All My Loving, She Loves You, and Long Tall Sally, from the August 23rd, 1964 performance. So there we go. Now back to the Beatles Corner. Well, not so fast back to the Beatles Corner. Before we do that, we're going to take a look at the inner sleeve. Here's one side of the inner sleeve. Girls in the Stands, facsimile signatures. You Are There. Feels like you're in the middle of the action. Wonder if any of these girls ever realized they were on this inner sleeve. But let's take a look at the flip side. We're just going to flip it over, nothing fancy here. And there you go. Screaming for their heroes. So there we are. And now let's take a look at the actual record. Okay, so here's the record. I mean, it's a regular record, but the label is really cool. So the majority of the songs on this side were from the 1965 performance. So you have the 1965 ticket stub. They're on side 1. And side 2. Side 2. Majority of the performances are from the 64 performance. So then the green 64 ticket facsimile is on this side. Again, really nice package. And now we will go back to the Beatles corner. Take it away, David. There you are. There's the close up. So this was it was interesting. So back in the 70s, live albums, because it was such the era of those big concerts, those big headlining concerts, everybody seemed to have been releasing concert albums. Everyone from Grand Funk Railroad, George Harrison, Paul McCartney. Um, the Beach Boys had released two concert albums at this point, one in 1964, Beach Boys Concert, and then 1972-ish, Beach Boys in Concert, somewhere in the early 70s. Frampton Comes Alive was a huge live album. I mean, there's just so many. Pretty much everyone put out a live album in the 70s. So when Capitol Records heard about the the Beatles at the Star Club in 1962 album, bootleg, don't want to say bootleg, unofficial album being released. The story is they went into the vaults, found they knew that concerts at the Hollywood Bowl were recorded. At the time in 64 and 65, the 3-track tapes were not really usable, but coming up to 1977, I'll just read it right off the back here. George Martin, in his liner notes, says that they had transferred the vintage 3-track tapes to modern multi-track machines. They remixed them, they filtered, equalized, and generally polished up the tapes. And then, by careful editing from the two performances, produced the performance that is on this record. And some of the transitions between songs, especially between the 2 years, kind of, it's a little bit, you can tell that it's a bit of a jump, because the crowd noise, the audience noise shifts a little bit. It's not too jarring, but you can tell when they transition between the two different performances. Really cool stuff is that in between songs, it's not like the Beatles, there's like bands and performers, they'll just get up there and they'll sing and had no interaction with the audience, even though the crowd noise drowned out the Beatles. The band was still interacting with the audience, announcing songs, kind of doing this playful banter, and sometimes the audience would hear and they would start cheering. But and then the songs sound, I don't want to say they sound faithful 100% to the records, but the band tried to do the best that they could. They couldn't hear themselves. It's noted on the liner notes. There were no fold back speakers, so really, the Beatles couldn't even hear what they were playing or doing. They had to. Story is they had to look at each other to see where they each were. If you have ever played in a band, like, over the years, had several friends in different areas who've gotten together to play, at graduation parties and stuff. Without those speakers, which we never had, you can't really hear. Like, I would be next to my bass amp. All I'd really hear was my bass guitar being played. I'd hear the drums a little bit, and I'd have to look over and kind of concentrate on and make sure we were all together. Now, that was in a small environment, a small stage, and just a group of friends, maybe 50, 75 people at a party. Hollywood Bowl, you're far away from the crowds. you've got these loud, powerful speakers, amplifiers, and you can't hear yourself sing. So with that in mind, it shows how good the Beatles were, even in a live environment. Yeah, Twist and Shout is abbreviated. Um, it's an abbreviated version. A Hard Day's Night is a little different as far as that excellent on the record guitar, that solo in the middle. Um, but still, the performances are really good. Captures Beatlemania perfectly because you are there. So if you have an opportunity, I'd say to pick this original version up. You can probably do so pretty cheaply online or at a local record store. One of these days, I will get the 2016 reissue, which apparently has been polished up even more so. Sounds even better. It's got some bonus tracks on it. And once I do that, we'll check it out and review it. So there you are, the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. And personally, just as a personal note, getting this album, and again, this is within the first year I was really getting into the Beatles. I mean, it's the first time I heard a lot of these songs. She's a Woman, Dizzy Miss Lizzie, She Loves You, um, and a couple of others. First time I ever heard those songs, and really couldn't wait to hear the studio versions as well. But this is an album I cherish. It's near and dear to my heart. So there you are, the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. That's it for this video. So until next time, it's me, David. We're in the Beatles Corner collecting the Beatles 101. We'll catch you on the flip side. Catch you soon. Thanks for watching and happy collecting. See you around next time.